Seoul Land 207 Original Novel DouLuo DaLu. Chapter 240. Challenge, Title DouLuo. TL by Bagelson. Zhu Zuqing reacted quite quickly. After transforming into her spirit form SUBBED, she had a reaction ability close to precognition. She swiftly rolled towards Dai Muebai's side. Dai Muebai didn't react slowly either. On discovering Zhu Zuqing was ambushed, his enormous white tiger avatar directly charged. He firmly believed that if Tang San was given a few more breaths of time, he would have a chance to catch Zhu Zuqing. Consequently, he unhesitatingly chose to merge with Zhu Zuqing, launching the spirit fusion ability Hell White Tiger. This was an important weapon for them to defeat Tang San. After fusing, their attributes rose substantially, and naturally wouldn't fear Tang San's sneak attacks. Even Xiao Bai had no way to harm them in their Hell White Tiger state, let alone Tang San with spirit power still below Xiao Bai's. However, no matter how fast their reaction, they were still a beat slower than Tang San with the initiative. A blue light shot out from between Tang San's eyebrows, deftly enveloping Zhu Zuqing. Not only did it block her from rolling sideways, it also firmly confined her within. At the same time that triangular blue light also just blocked the several lines of lightning Rong sent over to rescue. Dai Muebai's enormous body knocked against it, but separated by that layer of blue light. Not only was Zhu Zuqing unable to start the spirit fusion ability with him, she was even knocked away by his collision. This blue light was one of the previous Vast Sea Cosmic Shroud's 4 great abilities, Vast Sea Stasis, now become Tang San's headbone ability. Watching Zhu Zuqing enveloped in the Vast Sea Stasis field being knocked flying by Dai Muebai, Tang San gave a laugh. "Thanks, Boss Dai." Light flashed. The surrounding blue-golden forest changed irregularly, and the scene before the eyes of Dai Muebai's quartet grew indistinct, making them unable to see each other. Reddish-golden light spread out in an instant, and the landscape that had just puzzled Dai Muebai grew clear again. It was the release of Ma Hongjun's Phoenix domain. Seeing Zhu Zuqing attacked by Tang San, Ma Hongjun finally couldn't hold back, transforming into the 7-headed fire phoenix and releasing his domain. His domain was released just right, breaking open the illusion within a 20-meter range. Swiftly guarding Ning Rong and gathering together with Dai Muebai. But Zhu Zuqing caught by the vast sea stasis barrier was like a grey goose flying in the dark, completely unseen. Clearly Tang San had already brought her out of this 20-meter range while Fatty released the domain. Tang San and Zhu Zuqing 1 vs 1. There was no need to wonder about the outcome. Whether Dai Muebai, Ma Hongjun, or Ning Rong, their hearts all sank. They had originally thought that no matter how strong Tang San was, if the 5 of them focused their strength, they would still definitely be able to beat him easily. With the 5 mutually adding their fighting strength, there was no doubt that they were stronger than Tang San alone. However, after the battle truly started, it had far exceeded their imagination. The blue-silver domain their group had relied on in the past was turned against them, just that was painful. Moreover, Tang San's innumerable succession of techniques gave them even more of a headache. In just a few eye blinks, only 3 remained of the 5. All kinds of Ning Rong's support abilities were quickly used on Ma Hongjun and Dai Muebai. Both were spirit masters with tremendous explosive force, and further adding Ning Rong's frightening 80% boost, even if they wouldn't necessarily lose in a frontal fight with Tang San, they were still cautiously on guard. Elegant 9-colored light spread from Ning Rong, filling a range of 20 meters, just enveloping the 3 of them within. They could see everything outside, but it wasn't possible to see through this fantastical 9-colored light mist from the outside. This was Ning Rong's headbone subsidiary domain, Illusion Space. The Illusion Space plus the Phoenix domain could finally count as having counteracted the threat of the blue-silver domain. Of course, it was only within this 20-meter range. "Boss, what do we do?" Ma Hongjun asked Dai Muebai softly. Dai Muebai spoke in a low voice. "There's no way to guard against all of Little San's abilities. If we want to defeat him, we first of all have to break out of this blue-silver domain. With the help of so many plants, his domain will definitely last longer than us. Fatty, we'll focus our attacks on one spot and see if we can't split open Little San's domain. We have Rong's full strength boost, our total spirit power should exceed Little San. It should be possible to temporarily break through the domain. Once we've rushed out, we'll attack with our full strength, we won't give him the chance to release the domain. Rong, we break through the domain, you use illusion space to trap Little San. Make him unable to communicate with the surrounding plants." Ning Rong smiled wryly. "Let's try and see." The gap in spiritual force between me and Tang San is too wide. I might not be able to hold him. Daimyo Bai was also a seasoned veteran, he knew well that he couldn't despair at this time, or there would be no need to continue this battle. Drawing a deep breath, he shared a look with Ma Hongzhen in seven-headed fire phoenix form, and started to release his spirit power under Ning Rongrong's full strength support. White Tiger, Annihilation Kill. Phoenix, Cloud-Piercing Strike. Daimyo Bai and Ma Hongzhen had cooperated for years, and the two simultaneously launched their attacks directly at one point on the blue-silver domain's boundless nature outside. With Ning Rongrong's 80% boost ability, each of their attacks already surpassed Tang San. Even more when they purely attacked one point, plus each of their own boost abilities, even a 95th ranked title DouLuo might not dare take it. A strange scene appeared, just as their attacks left the 20-meter range of the illusion space and Phoenix domain. Suddenly, all the surrounding gold and blue completely disappeared. Disappeared without any warning. Their incomparably overbearing attacks shot straight at the ocean, entering the sea in the blink of an eye, raising close to 50-meter-high giant waves and surging steam. And Little San. Daimyo Bai was dumbfounded. Not only was there no collision between their attacks and the blue-silver domain, even after his and Ma Hongzhen's attacks hit the sea, the surrounding beach was as empty as nothing. Where was there a trace of Tang San? Don't tell me third brother escaped just before. Ma Hongzhen said somewhat incredulously. Escaped your face. Ma Hongzhen still hadn't finished speaking before he already heard Tang San's voice behind him. Ma Hongzhen only felt his back tingle, the effect of Tang San's amassed power. He urged his seven-headed fire phoenix avatar to dash forward to hide, practically without hesitation. Wrong, keep little AO company. Tang San's silhouette appeared next to Ning Rongrong, and before she could react, Tang San's right hand was already pressed to her forehead. At the same time a mental attack shot out, and even with a certain amount of protection from Ning Rongrong's 9 treasure glazed tile pagoda energy, compared to Tang San's boundless level spiritual force, she really was too far away. Groaning, she fell into Tang San's arms. From removing the blue-silver domain, and Ma Hongzhen and Daimyo Bai's attacks killing empty air, to Tang San subduing Ning Rongrong, only 2 breaths of time had passed. Tang San's blue-silver domain hadn't collided with Daimyo Bai and Ma Hongzhen's attacks, so he naturally wouldn't suffer any attack. But having used their full strength to launch attacks, the two were in a state of old strength having left, and still not replaced with new strength. The will to turn and help Ning Rongrong was there, but the strength was not. Ma Hongzhen was even scared off by Tang San and had flown off several dozen meters. Ning Rongrong's boost disappeared, and as Ma Hongzhen and Daimyo Bai rushed back, Tang San had already pulled her along and flown up. Back in midair he stuffed Ning Rongrong into his wishful 100 treasures purse. 100 or more blue-silver emperor blossomed from Tang San, pursuing and attacking Ma Hongzhen. Tang San gave a calm smile, his left leg whipping out, suddenly producing a razor blade of red light, forcibly sending Fatty in spirit avatar form spinning several turns in the air. Without waiting for Daimyo Bai to pounce, Tang San's 8th spirit ring already flashed, the red wheel of light appeared again. But this time it didn't solidify the sea or the air, but rather released circles of blood-colored light, instantly enveloping Daimyo Bai and Ma Hongzhen. The two were stunned in practically the same moment. This was the other ability of Tang San's 8th spirit ring. Turning around, Tang San threw himself towards the stunned Ma Hongzhen. In midair, an enormous spider web already sprayed out, tangling around the 7-headed fire phoenix. The fire-immune blue-silver grass basically wouldn't fear the scorching hot phoenix flame protecting him. And at the same time another figure had already separated from Tang San, an illusory silhouette floating over behind Daimyo Bai with a flicker, a long scorpion braid whipped out, tangling around Daimyo Bai's neck. The illusion tossed, and the next moment, Daimyo Bai was already in the air. It was Tang San's 6th spirit ability, Nothingness, Burst Kill 8-stage drop. As Ma Hongzhen awoke from unconsciousness, what he saw was 8 dazzling golden lances pointing at 8 vital spots on his body, and what he felt was a spider web closely restraining his body. Daimyo Bai was even more miserable than him. When he came to he only felt his surroundings flash past. His body was constantly flung around high and far. Of course, Xiao Wu's soul form illusion wouldn't really smash him on the ground, but at this moment he and Ma Hongzhen both understood that they had already lost this fight. Lost it so thoroughly. Tang San didn't even have Xiao Wu's soul return to her body to fight, but still easily defeated them. From start to finish, the whole battle had taken less than 5 minutes. As Daimyo Bai and Ma Hongzhen safely landed on the ground, the effects of all attacks removed, the two were already lifeless. An intense feeling of defeat filled their hearts, especially that feeling of clearly having strength but being unable to use it made them even more depressed. Tang San didn't speak, only fishing out Ning Rongrong, Zhu Zuqing and Oscar from his wishful 100 treasures purse, then finally also brought out Xiao Wu, holding her close. Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zuqing were the same, after coming to they both stood there lifelessly, not uttering a word. But as Oscar woke up, he couldn't help saying. "Fuck me, little San, you're too despicable. You actually sneak attacked me." Dai Mubai snapped. "Little Ao, is this your first day out? Will the enemy warn you ahead of time? Don't forget that we were 5 against little San alone." Oscar paused, looking startled at these 4 companions with dejected expressions, and cried out. "You couldn't have lost, right? With Rongrong's powerful support, Boss Dai's powerful body, Fatty's scarily explosive strength, and Zuqing's speed. You all together actually couldn't defeat little San? Boss Dai, you and Zuqing didn't use the Hell White Tiger." Zhu Zuqing sighed softly. "Third brother basically didn't give us the chance to use it." Dai Mubai's gaze changed somewhat. Looking at Tang San, he said in a low voice. "Little San, tell us, why?" Tang San naturally understood what he wanted to ask, but didn't directly speak. Rather his gaze swept past the 5 companions in front of him. Once everyone's attention was on him, he calmly said. "The reason is very simple, because you didn't show your true strength against my attacks. I exploited my familiarity with everyone, each attack hitting where it hurt. If you could be a bit cautious and careful, I wouldn't be able to defeat you so easily. Indeed, the 5 of you together are absolutely stronger than me. However, you've forgotten one thing. That is that one person will be more flexible than 5 people. My strength alone is higher than any one of you. If you are unable to effectively join together to resist me, then even if you are somewhat prepared, you still won't have much of a chance." Speaking, Tang San raised his hand to point at Oscar. "My first target was little Ao. Because I understand that, with inertia of thinking, you would inevitably believe that my first target would be Rongrong who has no fighting strength, and so you would pay even more attention to her. But you still neglected that little Ao isn't much stronger than Rongrong before he has eaten a clone mirror sausage. Little Ao, do you know what your mistake was? Even if you instantly ate your clone mirror sausage, you didn't look for your comrade's protection beforehand. When I instead had already used teleportation to attack you, you should have some contingency plan. If you had first used your spirit bone clone ability to create a clone, and then eaten the clone mirror sausage, you would have had at least a 50% chance of escaping my attack." Oscar nodded. "It really was my mistake. I didn't expect your first target would be me either. At that time I still wanted to eat a clone mirror sausage and go guard Rongrong." Tang San sternly said. "Since your sausage spirit rose to the 70th rank, you already possess extremely potent fighting strength. You can even clone 100% of someone's abilities to fight for 10 minutes. However, there's one point I have to warn you of. Your greatest weakness is in the brief time before you've eaten the clone mirror sausage. This time you were the weakest. In this respect, if you can think of some way to make up for it, it will make your weakness even smaller. Otherwise, as long as it's an opponent somewhat familiar with your spirit, they will think of some way to not give you the chance to eat the clone mirror sausage." Oscar nodded in deep thought, hanging his head to contemplate, pondering a way to improve himself. Tang San's gaze next turned to Zhu Zuqing and Dai Mubai. "You also equally made mistakes. After I dealt with little Ao, you wanted to return to help Rongrong. However, you forgot about one thing. Even if Rongrong's boost ability is powerful, it still won't immediately give you the strength to beat me. Among the 5 of you, the only one with the strength to instantly smash me is the Hell White Tiger. Therefore, from the start of the battle, you should have moved hand in hand, maintaining a physical link. Like that, even if I used the domain abilities, I still wouldn't have been able to directly seal you. With the Hell White Tiger there, you had a chance to win. If you had held hands at that time, then my cosmic stasis field could only have enveloped both of you, and with the Hell White Tiger's strength you would also completely have been able to break out. Moreover, Zuqing, you didn't react fast enough. While in a spirit avatar state, as an agility-type spirit master, there should never have been a moment when you stopped. You should have constantly been in high-speed motion, exploiting everything in the surroundings, including your companions to shield your figure. The greatest characteristics of the agility attack type Spirit Master is formidable attack power and speed, but defensive strength is her weakness. If you let the opponent lock onto you, then if at that time I didn't use the vast sea stasis field, but rather the blue-silver overlord spear, you would very possibly already have been seriously injured. Mubai, after Zuking was caught, your mind was a bit chaotic. To the extent that you again and again made mistakes in the following battle. Even if you were deeply within my blue-silver domain boundless nature, relying on Rongrong's domain was enough to protect you. Let alone with Fatty there. With these you still had a chance to stay on even footing. But you and Fatty launched all-out attacks to break open my domain. Even if this really had a probability for success, don't forget that I'm a control-type Spirit Master, my control over my own abilities is considerable, that's why I removed the domain at the same time as you attacked. If I wanted, I could completely have reinstated the domain when you had attacked. At that time, you would no longer have stood a chance. Listening to Tang San's analysis, Dai Mubai sighed. Little San, you're right, the five of us made this and that mistake one after another. However, you also overlooked some things. It's not about whether we could cooperate, but rather because we didn't have you to command. It's now I discover that we are so dependent on your commands. Without you to take command between us just now, we couldn't even display 50% of our strength. But when you're there, we can very possibly even show 120% strength. Tang San looked at Dai Mubai, his eyes revealing a pondering light. Indeed, everyone were always together, and his companions really did depend on him a lot. Moreover, as the team's only control-type Spirit Master, he had the effect of a mediator, an extremely important position. Tang San smiled slightly. Actually, you don't have to be discouraged. Just now was also because you were unprepared. If you'd prepared in advance, as long as you adopted a tactic stable guarding and countering, you would still have had a major chance to defeat me. The reason you had no way to catch me was because I have too many dodging abilities, whether teleportation, invincible golden body or blue-silver barrier, they can all help me quickly leave the battlefield. And you had no abilities to control the initiative. Therefore, having me stay still is very difficult. Dai Mubai grinned. If Xiaowu had been on our side, you wouldn't have stood a chance. Tang San looked somewhat dumbfounded at Dai Mubai. Boss, you still want to make it 6-on-1. Dai Mubai said grandiosely. For a freak like you, 6-on-1 isn't anything impossible. Your invincible golden body only works 3 times. Just as you said, as long as we use tactics of stable defense and countering, taking turns to rest, it's impossible for your domains to continue indefinitely. And your vast sea stasis field is useless to our Fatty. Our burst attack strength is formidable, and if you want to catch us, your spiritual force is also bound to take considerable blows. And you will definitely pause when launching abilities. As long as you give us one chance to let Xiaowu approach you with teleportation, you're a finished egg. Tang San scratched his head. Indeed, Xiaowu's abilities counter me considerably. In some sense, Xiaowu should be considered a close-quarters power attack type battle spirit master. Or you might say a close-quarters control type spirit master. Even if her abilities need proximity to show their full effect, at the same time her abilities will also be a lot stronger than our ordinary abilities. At least even I can't take her burst kill 8-stage drop. However, Boss Dai, do you believe Xiaowu would help you against me? He he. Ning Rongrong said from the side. This way is better. Third brother, from now on, you're banned from using the dodging abilities of teleportation, invincible golden body, and hiding. You can only fight head-on. I'll help the 4 of them to fight you separately. Isn't that our 5th trial? Oscar shook his hands. Never mind. Wrong, we don't stand a chance. Little San is a control-type spirit master. In front of that blue-silver emperor even gods or devils can't see through, none of us have the ability to protect you. Even if he didn't use those dodging abilities, as long as he first controls you, the rest of us basically won't stand a chance. A control-type spirit master on Little San's level is already beyond what agility attack-type spirit masters can counter. Let alone the rest of us. I'd prefer to directly go confront a DouLuo than to practice with Tang San again. I'm afraid I'd lose my confidence. That guy is still best as our partner, having him as an opponent is too painful. Oscar's declaration immediately gained Dai Mubai, Ma Hongjun, and Zhu Zuking's favor. Indeed, it seemed to them that Tang San was still best suited as a friend no matter when. Tang San smiled slightly. Since that's the case, we'll try to pass the trial. With our present strength, we should still have a considerable chance. Right, did your trials specify which sea DouLuo you had to face? Zhu Zuoqing said. Seahorse DouLuo once told us that the 7 sacred pillars are each named Seahorse, Sea Devil, Sea's Lance, Sea's Fantasy, Sea Witch, Sea Star, and Sea Dragon. They each have a corresponding title DouLuo guarding them. So far we've only met Seahorse DouLuo. But judging from what he told us then, the strongest among these 7 should be Sea Dragon DouLuo, who's very possibly already reached the 95th rank. My 5th trial examiner is Sea Witch DouLuo, she might more precisely be called Sea Woman DouLuo 1. Oscar said. My examiner is better, an old acquaintance, Seahorse DouLuo. Dai Mubai said. My examiner is Sea's Lance. Should be called Sea Lance DouLuo. Ma Hongjun said. My examiner is Sea Devil DouLuo, I suppose the correct appellation is Sea Ghost DouLuo 2. Tang San exhaled. Fortunately your opponents don't include Sea Dragon DouLuo. Otherwise passing might have been difficult. According to the contrast in strength between us and these Sea DouLuo, Sea Dragon DouLuo is undoubtedly the strongest. And the reason Sea Star and Sea Fantasy DouLuos didn't appear among your examiners might very well be because they are the weakest of them all. Seahorse DouLuo outlined their strength. Sea Woman DouLuo, Sea Ghost DouLuo and Sea Lance DouLuo grow stronger in that order. I currently have a method that might guarantee you pass. But the rewards from passing the trial might be reduced. Do you want to try? Dai Mubai said doubtfully. You can guarantee we'll pass. Tang San said. Yes. My trial is to challenge the 7 title DouLuo within 3 days, and completely defeat them all. But it didn't say anything about the order. If I challenge your corresponding title DouLuo, and you moreover raise your challenges after I defeat them, it can practically guarantee you will pass. The strength of the Sea DouLuo I've defeated is bound to be lowered. Ma Hongjun's eyes opened wide. Is that all right too? Tang San said. There's nothing not all right about it. Since the conditions of our trials doesn't forbid us from doing so, then it's rational. What do you think? Oscar scratched his head. I really don't have any certainty to pass by relying on the clone mirror sausage. I've thought it over, and Little San is right, I have a considerable gap when reusing the clone mirror sausage. But confronting a power on the title DouLuo level, even with Rongrong's boost, it's still impossible for me to win within the time of 1 clone mirror sausage. When I take the second, too dangerous. If I can't pass with the first, then figuring out what next is too difficult. Little San, please help me. Zhu Zuoqing suddenly said. Third brother, if it's as you say, then isn't the reverse also possible? Leaving it to us to first challenge our title DouLuo, then for you to challenge them next, like this you can save your strength. After all, your trial is to defeat 7 title DouLuo within 3 days. Tang San smiled and shook his head. No need. Once you've all passed, I'll wholeheartedly go to pass. Have faith in my strength. No. Dai Mubai said in a low voice. Little San, Zuoqing is right. We can't always rely on you. It really is difficult for little Ao to pass, he can use your help. But me, Zuoqing and Fatty can pass just fine on our own. I believe that of the 7 sacred pillars, the strongest opponent is Sea Dragon DouLuo. You have to conserve your strength as far as possible before facing him. Intersperse the 3 of us challenging title DouLuo in your overall challenge time. Like this, you can also rest better. Trust us, we have the strength to rely on ourselves to complete the challenges. Tang San said hesitantly. But, if I pass successfully, then I won't be able to help you. Just in case. Dai Mubai said resolutely. No, just in case. If we always think of a way out whatever we do, it'll be impossible for us to break through. Don't forget that the 1 rank reward is very important to us. I can break through the 80th rank. I don't want to have to use even more time to break through because the reward is reduced. At the same time, this is also Zuoqing's last trial. I think that if she can't rely on her own strength to pass this last trial, her overall reward will definitely be reduced. Little San, don't forget that we have confidence in ourselves. The 4th trial mainly relied on your strength, so let us help you for this one. We Shrek 7 devils are always as one. Fine, then it's settled. We'll rest 1 day, and start the challenges tomorrow. Tang San didn't decline again, he definitely wouldn't dispel his comrades' belief in certain victory. The next day, early morning. The sky held the first glimmers of dawn, but the Shrek 7 Devils group had already arrived at the familiar sea within the sea surrounding the seahorse sacred pillar. Because it was so early, the blue of the sky was still a bit dark, gradually rendered brighter by the sun slowly revealing itself in the east. Seahorse DouLuo quietly sat straight backed below the seahorse sacred pillar, just like the first time Tang San and the others saw him. Perhaps because he sensed their arrival, Seahorse DouLuo slowly opened his eyes. More than 3 years since we met, but it seems everyone's strength has grown a great deal. Coming today, would be for the 5th trial. Seahorse DouLuo looked smiling at everyone on the shore. As his gaze fell on Tang San, he clearly revealed a look of respect. Tang San nodded slightly. That's right, today is for the 5th trial, senior, please impart your teachings. As his words fell, Tang San rose into the air, flying towards the triangular platform below the seahorse sacred pillar. Against Tang San's expectations, Seahorse DouLuo didn't draw on the strength of the seahorse sacred pillar's strength to use the sea to attack him, and just accelerating once, he landed safely on the seahorse sacred pillar platform. Seahorse DouLuo looked at Tang San landing in front of him. You're already prepared to begin the 5th trial? Tang San nodded. Yes, I'm already prepared. Seahorse DouLuo clearly knew the contents of Tang San's trial. After the examination begins, within the next 72 hours, you must defeat us 7 sacred pillar DouLuo one by one. If you exceed the time or cannot completely defeat us all, it will be viewed as failing the trial. Within 1 year, you still have a chance to challenge again. In the process of the examination, we won't draw on the sea god's strength of the sacred pillars. We will only rely on our own strength to conduct your examination. Many thanks, Senior. Tang San bowed in salute to Seahorse DouLuo. Seahorse DouLuo leaned to the side, not receiving Tang San's salute. Extending his right hand, the seahorse sacred pillar flashed with light, a golden ray soaring up, overpowering the still oncoming dawn. Immediately after, as if responding to the seahorse sacred pillar's golden light rose separately in 6 distant directions, converging together with the light from the seahorse sacred pillar. The 7 golden lights formed an immense ball of light in the sky, emanating several dozen concentrated golden flames. Seahorse DouLuo said. These flames symbolize your trial time. When they are completely extinguished, it means the 72 hours have already passed, and at that time the trial will be failed. Please. Golden blue light suddenly flourished. At the same time as Tang San released the Spirit Blue Silver Emperor, he also launched his 7th spirit ability, Blue Silver Avatar. Even though he had absolute confidence in himself, this was also his first time fighting a title DouLuo one-on-one. He absolutely wouldn't be careless. This was the sea within the sea, it was a place most suited for sea spirit masters to show their strength. If he didn't go all out, how could he guarantee victory? At the same time as Tang San released his spirit, Seahorse DouLuo also released his. In an instant, his whole body was enveloped in bizarre ash-grey armor, and behind him appeared a giant seahorse image very similar to the one carved on top of the seahorse sacred pillar. 2 yellow, 2 purple, 5 black, 9 spirit rings flashed simultaneously. Without 100,000-year spirit ring, this was already the most ideal spirit ring configuration. Capable of becoming one of the protectors of the sea god's 7 sacred pillars, Seahorse DouLuo's personal strength really wasn't common. However, as Seahorse DouLuo saw the spirit rings Tang San released, he still couldn't help being sluggish for a moment. 2 yellow, 1 purple, 2 black, 3 red. 8 spirit rings flickered with dazzling light. Not only were there 2 more than 3 years ago, but both of those 2 were 100,000-year red spirit rings. 1 Sea Witch DouLuo, Sea Devil Woman DouLuo, shortened to, Sea Woman DouLuo. 2 Sea Devil DouLuo, is shortened to. Ends here. Likes OK, comment OK, write anything. Today 4 episodes, 6 more to go.